I mean, it looks GPT as hell, but it looks. I thought it was a funny bit.
Tom, I'm going to pull a Joe. You're out of focus.
No.
Okay.
No, that's not true, though, is it?
It is from my view. The books behind him are usually a little bit blurrier, and he's a little bit cleaner.
Wait, no. Okay, what you're seeing is everything. Everything got better, and now the books look extraordinarily good, and Tom is more in focus, but the AI upscaling is fussing with it. So there's that. There's our thumbnail.
Oh yeah,
right
that looks great.
Yeah. I thought that turned out pretty good. So now I'm going to see whether or not we are rocking and rolling on the chat. And then I'll see whether or not we should be live on the Mono Rogue and on Twitch, but I don't know for sure. So I'm going to say test. And it said it multiple places. Oh, wait. Yeah. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Test back. Confirmed. Everyone says confirmed. Great. What? Universal sustainably for the next generation. TNG. Are you ready to do a show, Tom?
Those words got blurrier the farther they got away.
Oh, is that what we're seeing?
That's what I was trying to do. Sorry. Yes.
No. If we have a moment, I could do a quick bathroom break, just a preventative measure.
We don't.
We don't? Okay. All right.
No.
Let's go then. All right. Ready? In. Nope. I tricked you. I was hoping that it would. Okay. There we go. That's what I'll do. All right. In 3, 2.
Welcome to Cordkillers Reckoning. We did it. We killed all the cords, and now standing, just the two of us, on an empty battlefield strewn with cord corpses, I'm Tom Merritt with Brian Brushwood.
Heck yeah, man. Wait till I tell the Kaiser. Can you guess what show I'm watching?
You'd think after Brian and I doing this show for so long, we would have had a fallout, but we haven't. We're still here doing it.
I actually have a story about that, but we'll get to that when we talk about what we're watching.
We've got all the stories about the stuff you watch. We are here to be your guides through the apocalypse that is modern television and movie entertainment. Let's get right to the supply run.
Oh no, it didn't play. Here we go. This time. Now it's for reals.
There we go. Where's the beef? Where's the beef? So the rumors have been leaking out of Lucasfilm for a couple of years now that Disney and Kathleen Kennedy were negotiating her departure. Brian, did you ever watch The Studio? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. You mean the Apple TV original, The Studio?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. Series. Oh, is that what they were doing?
When at the very beginning, when Seth Rogen's character takes over as studio chief and he replaces the woman who's like, basically in public, they're saying, we've negotiated a departure and she'll continue to produce films for us. I'm like, oh my God, that's what's happening with Kathleen Kennedy.
Well,
she will continue to produce films for Disney and Lucasfilm, but Dave Filoni taking over the big seat.
Yeah, you know what's funny, Tom, is I read that story. I was like, didn't this already happen a long time ago? But of course, we were reporting on the rumor at the time, and that's what got anchored in my mind. I would imagine if there were that many loose lips that this is a intentional, gradual transition. And this is pure speculation. I have no inside. I mean, I have the opposite of inside. Whatever the opposite of inside info is. I have outdoor biases. It's not information and it's not inside. I have outside biases. My outside speculation would be that that gradual year, 2 year window was basically, I would imagine there's a number of projects that you want to see to completion. You want to be at the helm long enough for them to turn certain corners so that you're pleased with where they end up. I don't know.
There's probably a little like, okay, but in a post Kennedy run Lucasfilm, I still get points on these things that I've always been involved in. I still get right of first refusal for these kinds of projects. Imagine there's those kinds of negotiations as well. She will continue to produce The Mandalorian and Grogu, which comes out May 22nd. She's not directing it, right? But she is one of the producers on it. She will continue to be a producer on that, as well as Star Wars Starfighter, which is coming on May 28th, 2027. What Dave Filoni gets is promoted to president. He remains chief creative officer, and he will be president alongside current president and GM of business, Lynwyn Brennan, who will become co-president and handle the business side. That is a thing that Disney does in its lower levels. It makes co-presidents of creative properties. So you have a creative president and a business president. And that's what they're doing. Dave Filoni is going to be the creative president, and Lynwyn Brennan will be making sure, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and the budget's balanced. Pixar and Walt Disney Animation also have creative and business co-leads. So if it sounds weird to you, that's not terribly weird at Disney. We'll see if this is a good team up. But everybody seems to love Dave Filoni's approach to the creative. He worked closely with Lucas on Clone Wars, and he's kind of seen as the heir to Lucas's creative vision. How do you feel about it being in the hands of Dave Filoni creatively?
In general, pretty good, but the whole co-presidents thing, to my eyes from the outside, and maybe you can disambiguate this for me, reads as sort of a way to placate shareholders and investors, where like if you pick one particular president or head or CEO, then they're all like, well, what if we don't like the direction he goes? But by picking two, you at least imply that there's always leverage, or that whatever it is you are projecting that you want from it or that you're hoping for it, there are moves in the future. Now, on the one hand, it does undercut the power of the person being put in charge, but it also kind of raises to the surface the veto power that shareholders also have. So there's, I would love to know whether or not my read on that is correct. In terms of Filoni's stuff, man, that whole franchise is so spotted, and Disney is so opaque about, the company line is very, very polished by the time it comes out from Disney. I don't know that I will ever know which individual was responsible for all my favorite parts of Star Wars and which ones, and who's at fault for my least favorite parts of Star Wars.
Well, as far as the co-president stuff goes, I don't know how that works inside of Disney. I haven't been following Pixar or Disney Animation that closely to know if what you're talking about has happened. Maybe it has. If anybody does know, cordkillers@gmail.com. But I do know that it appears to be a way to say, if you have one person in charge of the studio, they are going to make creative decisions that are great that are bad for business, or make business decisions that are great that are bad for creative. And what we would prefer is that the business person sets the boundaries of like, these are the limits that you can't cross to keep the business running, and play within that area and do whatever you want creatively. And the creative person says, great, this is what we need to do creatively. It's my job to push against those boundaries where I think it's important and convince you. And that seems to work. If you look at Pixar, they've done a pretty darn good job of creating franchises that are creatively valuable as well as business valuable. And Disney Animation now has, as we'll find out later in the show, the most valuable movie ever made in animation, in Zootopia 2. So they seem to be clicking on all cylinders. So looking at it from that perspective, I go, yeah, this might sound weird, and there's a lot of questions that you can have, like you did, Brian, that are perfectly legitimate. But it seems to work for them. Disney seems to have figured out how to make that work, and it allows them to have the best of both worlds. So that's my inclination, is to just write it up as like, oh, this is a Disney way of doing it, where you get the best out of your creative and keep the business ideas in mind.
Do you think that we're going to see more and highly polished content in the Star Wars universe, or more throwing spaghetti at the wall speculative bets? Because we've seen some lots of twists and turns in the 10-year stewardship here.
Yeah. Reading the tea leaves a little bit. I know this isn't as cut and dried as I'm about to make it sound, but Filoni tends to be the driving force behind the TV series, and Kennedy was doing the movies. Brian, which one of those seems like it's been more productive lately?
Well, I do know that it was a very, very good year, that we got a second season of Andor, and my favorite Star Wars surprise of was not prepared for the quality and joy that I got out of Skeleton Crew. So
what did you think of the Star Wars movies that came out this year?
You know, I'm not familiar. When was the last time? What was the most recent Star Wars movie? We saw the trailer for Grogu and the Mandalorian, right?
I think it was The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh dear, the dead speak. The opening crawl said, "Bill O'Reilly has a podcast."
Yeah, I'm willing to let chat overrule me on that, but the movie side of the Lucasfilm business has been in stasis, perfectly preserved.
Yeah, no, I think it was Rise of Skywalker, because Solo was before the third one. There was the first Star Wars saga movie, then Solo. No. And then Rogue One.
It was Force Awakens, and then Revenge of the Jedi. And then,
man. Wow. Cordkillers@gmail.com. Just read us the riot act. Explain to us what we're not seeing. This is where we're going to turn it.
I mean, if we're going to get that crazy about it, I'll just do a search and find out.
Well, yeah. While you're anchoring that, I will take a moment to really think about just how powerful the Star Wars franchise has been for Disney Plus specifically. It's almost as though they took all of that. Star Wars has done, maybe to a lesser extent, for Disney Plus what Star Trek has done for Paramount Plus. There's an interesting artifact, Tom. I pay attention to things people say when they are associating with things and what it reveals about them. For example, your friend of mine, Andrew Heaton, on his podcast, The Political Orphanage, was talking about, I don't know, some regulatory something or other. So his brain went to just come up with 3 streaming services, and it was like Netflix, Hulu, and Paramount Plus. I'm like, what are those 3? Does it belong? And then I was like, I'll bet that reveals his bias for all of his Star Trek stuff. And sure enough, like 5 minutes later, he's talking about a Star Trek thing.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Rise of Skywalker was December 20th, 2019, and Solo was May 2018.
So Solo was the most recent one? No.
No, Rise of Skywalker was 2019. So that's the most recent one. And
6
then
years? Solo
was 2018. And Last Jedi was 2017.
I can't believe that, Tom.
Yeah. So that's where my head's at, is like, feels like maybe Kathleen Kennedy leaving might make them make movies. Now, granted, there are 2 movies coming out that she has been a producer on and that were created under her watch. So they are on track to have movies come out. I do wonder if there's a little back and forth between Filoni about, like, this is why we had this reaction. This is why this one worked. This is why this one didn't work. That's been going on. And Kathleen Kennedy, maybe not even in a bad way, said, you should just be running this. I should be producing movies and you should be running Lucasfilm.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, the producer role is so nebulous, but ultimately the producer has to look at everything and say, yes, the thing is this, and no, it is not this. And I suspect that there'll be a lot of Kathleen Kennedy DNA in Star Wars for a long time to come.
Also, I don't think it's true of the Saga films, but didn't Solo and Rogue One both have director changes in the middle of them?
I know that Solo did because it was what are their names who are awesome? And
Lord Miller.
Yeah, Lord and Miller, and we'll never
Ron
see
Howard
the Lord and Miller, and then it became Ron Howard. And then meanwhile, Rogue One, I know, had a lot of script changes and stuff. And I know
Gareth Edwards was the original director, and then Tony Gilroy was brought in to overhaul it.
Right.
Now, that's not saying Tony Gilroy didn't make a great movie out of Rogue One in the end.
Right.
But the studio head is the person that keeps that from happening, and it happened twice on two major situations.
Tony Gilroy in an unrelated podcast was talking about kind of the politics of Andor, and when he was asked kind of point blank how much of Rogue One was him, boy, did he manufacture a very carefully crafted, cautious response that if I remember correctly, he said there are very specific rules in the Writers Guild about what it takes to add a name to an existing script. I'll just point to the fact that my name was added to the script. And so whatever that threshold is, apparently was a lot of...
I'd forgotten this too. Rise of Skywalker was originally Colin Trevorrow.
And then it became J.J. Abrams.
Backed out, and they gave it back. They gave it to J.J. Abrams to do.
Wow.
So that became a trend after The Last Jedi. That became a thing that kept happening. A director would start, and then that director would be replaced for whatever reason.
Is this franchise in real trouble, do you think?
I think it was.
I think we're like 2 years in. I think that's when the rumors of changes are coming. I think we're now 2 years into behind the scenes work.
And how many the Game of Thrones guys are going to make a movie? Maybe the Taika Waititi's maybe one. Like we've been in years of like rumors of things getting started. We are finally close to actual Mandalorian and Grogu and Star Wars Starfighter coming out. But it's been a long slog, and I don't know that Dave Filoni is, the magic force wielding solution to this or not, but it does feel like there's been a problem, and a change for whatever reason at least will allow them to try something different.
Yeah.
And that's why we are sad to admit that neither Lord and Miller, Colin Trevorrow, or J.J. Abrams will be taking over as director of Cordkillers, Brian.
Yeah, unless that's what everybody decides. And by everybody, I, of course, am talking about our bosses. The bosses who head on over to patreon.com/cordkillers, who keep us loud, live, and independent and tell us what to do. They write us at cordkillers@gmail.com. And because they're actually kicking in a couple of bucks an episode, that's all we ask, they get a super secret exclusive RSS feed. Tom, you know what I noticed? I don't think I've ever pointed out to everyone, like maybe not in a year or two, that the RSS feed that the patrons get, no ads. I had totally forgotten that the free feed has ads.
Yeah. Guess what? The Patreon one does not. And that's commerce. If you pay for it, then we don't have to find another way to pay for it.
Yeah.
And if you pay enough for it, we'll hire J.J. Abrams to direct an episode of Cordkillers.
Yes, pending you giving us the budget to do it. We're not miracle workers, but we'll certainly endeavor for it. And in the meantime, you can enjoy super exclusive After Talk segment just for bosses.
Thank you, bosses. Let's move on to the search party.
Oh no, they're all set to the wrong time. I have to restart them again. See, beautiful. Now it's good.
You know, we mentioned Fallout earlier. Prime Video, Amazon Prime Video has greenlit a reality show. That's the thing these days. You know, your Squid Game does great. Do a Squid Game reality show. Fallout Shelter will be a 10-episode run. Here's the log line. Across a series of escalating challenges, strategic dilemmas, and moral crossroads, contestants must prove their ingenuity, teamwork, and resilience as they compete for safety, power, and ultimately a huge cash prize.
Do you remember the game upon which this was based? not the original
I not
Fallout.
only remembered it, but I started playing it again when Fallout Season 1 came out because I was like, oh, Fallout like sucked in again.
I kind of love it because it was Fallout Shelter is kind of a clone of Tiny Tower, right?
Yeah, it's that style of game where you're building different sections of your underground shelter and trying to get people to move in. They come in from the wastelands, and occasionally, the giant roaches and crabs and stuff invade. And you have to fight them off, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, which is kind of great fodder for reality show television. It's like you have a pressure cooker situation. You add the ingredient of don't have enough blank, have too much of blank, and then an inciting incident. You just watch what happens, and the editors cut it all up.
Yeah. You can even have different vaults. You could have Vault 32 and Vault 33.
Oh, wouldn't that be
reality.
a great mid-season twist? That almost certainly has to happen. We have to follow the adventures of one vault, and then halfway through the season, have it be revealed that there's another vault, and we're only seeing it from their perspective. And then, like Lost, we can jump over and see it from the other. This could be genuinely great, Tom.
It could be really fun. Yeah. I am not willing to condemn it in the cradle. So show me what you got, Prime Video. Amazon also released a shot of Sophie Turner. You may remember her as depicting Sansa Stark in Game of Thrones. Sophie Turner will now be depicting Lara Croft in the upcoming Tomb Raider series coming to Prime Video. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is the creator, writer, executive producer, and co-showrunner alongside Chad Hodge. If that name rings a bell and you saw Fleabag, that's why Phoebe Waller-Bridge starred in Fleabag and also ran that one as well.
Tom, there's something you and I have in common, and that is that
Scandinavian heritage.
There are two things we have in common. One of them is that Lara Croft Tomb Raider was conceived, pitched, developed, and executed after you and I had passed through puberty. So I wonder. Wait, no. Hold on. Yeah.
Still waiting, Brian. No,
it's pretty close.
Yes,
I guess so. Yeah, early 20s. Yeah. My point being, I wonder how much of Tomb Raider enthusiasm is just simply an imprinting for video gamers who passed on to the movies, which imprinted on.
Yeah, so this is our third Lara Croft, right?
In the movies, yeah.
And this is a series, so it's our first TV series, Lara Croft. Live action, first live action TV series, Lara Croft. I have to say, Sophie Turner looks the part.
Yeah,
Good job.
the one photo seemed to match the style guide for sure.
Yeah. Dune Part 3 and Avengers Doomsday both have release dates of December 18th this year. So while appearing at a screening of Marty Supreme, an unrelated movie, Robert Downey Jr. said on stage, we, meaning Timothée Chalamet, who stars in Marty Supreme, have films opening on December 18th, and we decided to coin it, we're thinking Doomsday. We'll see if we're still friends by then. What do you think? Go see Dune Part 3 and Avengers Doomsday and call it Doomsday?
I think that's a hell of a pitch. I think that was a fun riff that just happened, and we'll see if it takes root.
It won't.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah. So we got a long time for a lot of things to happen by December 18th. Following the season 2 finale of Culinary Class Wars, Netflix announced it will make a third season, and next time it will be teams from restaurants. So if you haven't watched Culinary Class Wars, first 2 seasons are black spoons and white spoons. The white spoons are all people who are professional chefs at highly successful restaurants. Maybe they've won a Beard Award, or they've won Iron Chef, or they've gotten a Michelin star or 2. And the black spoons are all like working class. They may run their own restaurant, but it's a smaller restaurant and it doesn't have like wide acclaim. That's the class wars part. So in season 3, instead of individuals from restaurants, it's going to be teams from those restaurants. So it'll be a team of 4. And I assume they compete as a team all the way through.
Now, you were very bullish on this when it came out. I think you and Bryce liked it a lot. Are you worried about this change of format? Do you think it'll take something away from what you dug about it?
No, actually, I'm pretty bullish on this format as well. So season 2 just wrapped up, and I was a little concerned of like, how are they going to do it again and keep it interesting when you kind of know what the twists and turns are? They threw a couple of things in. One I'm not sure worked entirely, which is they got to one round and they said it's black spoons versus white spoons, and the entire team gets eliminated if you lose. And you're like, well, then we're only going to have white spoons left. But of course, they had a way to save people, so they saved 2 people. But mostly, they do a great job of editing it, so you're always on the edge of your seat. Like, no, but who won? Who'd they pick? How did it go? How did the vote go? Who gets to advance? I think for season 3, it would be too much to ask to try to do that again. So making it teams means you get to have a story about the restaurant, why these 4 from the restaurant came, how well they worked together. And then that brings a whole new dynamic to the different challenges, because let's say you team up 2 different restaurants that are 2 different styles and they have to come together for a challenge. I think that kind of stuff could be really interesting.
You know what else it does is it, follow me, 30 seconds of Galaxy Brain, Brian. What this reminds me of is a blended whiskey. You're going to get a more consistent, predictable product, because by having 4 members of a team or whatever the size is, when you need to depict that team as unhinged and wild, well, you could just figure out which of the ingredients is spiked that way.
And wild. Yeah,
exactly. And now you're writing for a collection, a multicellular organism instead of a single person.
Yeah, the trade-off is you won't get behind the personality of an individual as much. So you've got a little bit of a challenge in depicting the teams that way, but I think you just explained the solution to that, right? So that's a pretty good way to go. Peacock dropped a trailer for season 2 of Ted coming March 5th. That's the series based on the movies. Netflix released a 3-episode miniseries called Agatha Christie's 7 Dials, which stars Helena Bonham Carter, Martin Freeman, Mia McKenna-Bruce, and is produced by Chris Chibnall, the Broadchurch and Doctor Who guy, Chris Sweeney, who did The Tourist, and Suzanne Mackey, who did The Crown. Chibnall says it evokes the Sean Connery, James Bond era, Hitchcock's North by Northwest, and the production values of The Crown.
Man, and that's out?
That's out on Netflix.
I was about to say, I talk about a predictable flavor profile. I bet I can guess exactly how all those ingredients are going to go together.
And I think this is something unique about Netflix. This story came out on Deadline earlier last week after we had done our show. And I'm like seeing buzz about this everywhere. Netflix is doing a great job getting people to talk about it. It's not coming straight from Netflix. It's like everybody's writing up this. Everybody's talking about Agatha Christie. The headlines are like, Agatha Christie for the Gen Z set, a high quality take. You know, you've never seen an Agatha Christie story like this. And so I put it in here thinking like, wow, Martin Freeman, Helena Bonham Carter, Chris Chibnall, like all-star cast. I bet this is going to be huge. And a week later, it's like, so it's out? Like your question is spot on. Like I haven't heard a peep since it came.
My new favorite phrase that terrifies me, I'll stick with it, terrifies me, is the abundance crisis. We are in a content abundance crisis. When that is barely a blip on the radar, that means there's a lot of noise.
Yeah. It has been 4 years since the last season of HBO's Euphoria, though. So they just let it simmer. They let it build that tension for you to want more Euphoria. Season 3 trailer came out, got 100 million views in the first 48 hours, most for a trailer in HBO Max history anyway.
Tom, I did not watch a single episode of Euphoria. I only knew it by reputation, but this is a delightful trailer. It opens implying that we're going to see the consequences of all of those over-the-top, youthful, sinful experiences that Euphoria was all about, but almost in a kind of a Breaking Bad-esque kind of way. And the idea that we see everybody descending sounds fascinating to me.
Now watch, it's gonna come out, and they've all gotten jobs and settled down and got married and
What? Oh,
cleaned up their past.
did you watch the trailer?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Is that
So
what happens in the trailer?
the very first thing is like she's working at like a vape shop, a smoke shack or whatever, and then it's just like everybody is kind of in a dipshit lane, and then but meanwhile they're older and more mature, and the gang's coming back together.
Oh, I was thinking even more so. Like, you know, they're living in Encino in a 2-bedroom ranch. And,
Yeah.
you know, work at the local school.
Oh, Tom, your videos look so fabulous that it was too good. This world was too good for it. So now your picture's frozen, but your audio sounds fantastic. I don't know if you're able to restart that.
Well, I wish there was something I could do about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened, honestly.
Yeah. Do you want to try? Yeah, this is a new problem for us. I could try disconnecting you and you could come back.
Well, no, hold on. Let me make sure it's not something on my end.
Okay. It could be your very zen. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'll keep, I might be able to keep this in because I could just show this definitely real footage of you that I have right here. Here we go.
When we want, on whatever device we please. And Brian, I'm very sorry to admit it, I secretly loved all of the restrictive contracts of cable television. I loved not being able to cancel. This whole show's been a lie. And my worst confession, I don't like K-pop. I don't even know how to speak Korean. When we want, on whatever.
Yeah, that was one I cooked up earlier today on office hours. I've been learning how to do deep fakes. And so you were the test subject for today.
Well, that's cool. I definitely have video coming on my end.
Okay, well, here, I'll disconnect you and you can reconnect. There we go. Are you still there? I think I just dropped you. And then now, oh, now you look fabulous. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
Cool
we'll massage this. Amos, this was at the 28-minute mark.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. That's Euphoria for you. Netflix has commissioned 2 original podcasts. Original. You know, we've been talking about Netflix acquiring podcasts. NFL Hall of Famer turned analyst Michael Irvin, and the second is a talk show from former Saturday Night Live cast member Pete Davidson.
Finally, Hollywood invented the podcast. They gave it a Golden Globe, and now they're finally creating originals.
That's not what this story is. This is not Hollywood. That's the Golden Globes giving out a podcast award take, Brian. This is Netflix has said, those podcasts we acquired, seems like it's a really good idea. Maybe we should just commission a couple ourselves. But are they podcasts?
I don't know. And to be honest, I don't blame them for commissioning their own. It seems like there probably were some minor leagues to this has actually been one of the recurring things for both of our careers is, you know, we both worked for Discovery Digital, and they had all of this polished talent that you would think it would make a lot of sense to raise them in the ranks. But it turns out going out and commissioning a big name is the better. The rich get richer, Tom.
It's fascinating that this format is working for them, where it's like, oh, we don't have to spend as much. It keeps people watching the app, and Netflix's game is the more people watch things, the less likelier they are to cancel. And on the live version, or on the ad-supported version, the more they watch, the more money they make because they can sell more ads. It is interesting to see Netflix kind of start to move towards not only favoring live more often, but also favoring long-form throwaway programs, the kind of stuff that just eats up minutes but keeps people listening because they don't have to pay close attention. We've talked a million times about Netflix creating dramas where you don't have to pay close attention. This is exactly that. Just keep Netflix on in the background.
Well, and both of those characters are folks who are sitting on a lot of intriguing stories that you might just want to hedge your bet and have turned on in case, they chase whimsy and want to tell something that didn't make the tabloids.
Yeah. Hong Dong-hyuk, the creator of Squid Game, will make a new series for Netflix called The Dealer, Brian. A casino dealer whose wedding plans fall apart, forcing her to unleash her long-hidden gambling talents in order to get the wedding back on track.
This will be interesting. I kind of like that idea of like somebody who's socially invisible and that being their superpower is that they're able to draw on their vast experience of having seen it all.
Yeah, is that what you took from this? That is interesting.
I mean, because otherwise, if they're, unless they were awesome and then they were on hard times and that's why they became a dealer. I don't know.
What I took is this was a gambling savant who cleaned up their act, went legit, settled down, found the love of their life, is about to get married, and then stuff hits the fan. And now it's like, I thought that every time I got out, they're pulling me back in. It's like, okay, how do I keep my new life from discovering my old life while using the talents of my old life to make the money I need to get the wedding back on track?
Yeah, whatever it is, it's going to be great. I mean, Parasite revealed a very simple story with extremely deep multi-class analysis on there.
Yeah, and this kind of falls into the what's the Bob Odenkirk
Nobody
action?
Is what I was thinking of. Yeah,
it falls into the Nobody camp a little bit as well. One Piece season 2 returning to Netflix March 10th. If you're a One Piece fan, which I know there are many of you, good to mark that on your calendar. And Walt Disney's Zootopia 2, now the highest grossing U.S. animated film of all time, raking in $1.7 billion in worldwide box office revenue as of Sunday.
I just realized I confused Squid Game creator with Parasite director who did
yeah. Also, neither one of them are in BTS.
Okay, good. But belay those emails to cordkillers@gmail.com. Find another topic.
Anyway, Zootopia 2. You know what's interesting to me is I tell people, we did this on It's a Thing. We talked about Zootopia 2 being such a big thing. I went to the local Miniso, and there were like aisles and aisles of Zootopia merchandise that people are snapping up. But I tell it to people and they're like, really? It's that big? It's like, listen, the merchandising and the $1.7 billion worldwide don't lie. People are into it. But we are, who grew up with mainstream media, are like, but I'm not seeing it. I'm like, what does that does that tell you? Yeah. I think that's really interesting. All right, let's move on to the buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
So buried treasure is the section where we tell you something to watch. And I kind of spoiled my buried treasure earlier in the show when we talked about Culinary Class Wars, but Culinary Class Wars. Now, listen, if you're like, I'm not into cooking shows, I'm not into cooking competition shows, this is not going to change your mind. But if you're like, yeah, sometimes they're fun, this is a really good one. I gave you the premise earlier, which is you got the black spoons and the white spoons. The other thing, Brian, that they do, the white spoons get to skip round one. So that, builds up a little enmity where the black spoons are down there, working away, trying to convince the judges to let them in to the next round. Whereas the white spoons all stand up above them and look down and comment on the competition. And then they go head to head. And of course, everybody's got, their black spoon loyalty and they cheer when one of them makes it through because it's all head to head stuff. It's really fun.
Does a show like this stand up to repeat viewing, do you think?
Like watching the season over again?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't tried. But
yeah.
It might. Usually these kind of shows don't. Usually these shows are just like, let's find out what happens. But that's an interesting question.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I have, Tom, Did you know that in the last 7 days, I have shot 10 full episodes of The Modern Rogue with 2 different guest hosts? It's been remarkable. We shot 4 episodes.
That's a lot of shows.
Yeah, with Josh Nass.
People don't realize that take however much time you think an episode of The Modern Rogue takes to shoot, multiply it by 10. That's how much time that Brian has been spending on it.
However, I did make time to make a little bit of progress on Fallout Season 2, long enough to see the appearance of, is it a spoiler to say what familiar face shows up in episode 3 with the
You ask me this as if you don't know the answer. There is someone who's going to think it's a spoiler for you to say there's a series called Fallout.
Yeah,
so,
fair enough. Okay. Well, at any rate, it was really a treat to see Macaulay Culkin show up. That was a fun surprise. I was like, I solved mysteries with him. That was fun.
Yeah. Actually, as soon as he shows up, I thought of you as well. I was like, hey, it's Brian's friend.
Yeah, right. Well, and so but the reason I have a little story to share, I had a birthday, and my gift to the family was we went to the mall last week to see if the mall was back. Spoiler alert, the jury's out. But I went to the Great American Cookie Company because this is a quick nested story. It's a good bit. My 13-year-old had a 5 Nights at Freddy's cookie cake. It only got nibbled on a little, and the next day it was all gone. Nobody knows where it was. Some people accused Dad of having eaten it. So while I was at the mall, I thought it'd be a funny bit to get a very deliberately shabby knockoff made of it. I said, just put a teddy bear on it, write the Fred Show, and I took a knife and I cut out some giant bites on it, and I came home and pretended with a straight face like I found the cookie. It was never gone to begin with. And Callie didn't think it was funny, but then they did think it was funny, which brings me to my favorite gift was from Penny. She gave me a card that said, "Happy birthday, Dad," cake inside. And when on the inside is a drawing of a cookie cake that says, "Fell Out, the game or movie or whatever." And on the left is a sunshine and a cloud with rain. That's the mushroom cloud, Tom. And on the right,
the mushroom cloud.
On the right is this blueberry looking ghost. That's a ghoul. So it has a mushroom cloud and a ghoul on Fell Out, the movie or game or whatever.
That's brilliant. And now that's my favorite episode of Fallout. If you got something we should be on the lookout for, email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Brian, I made some bread.
Oh, well, okay. Talk about a side hustle. How much you pull in?
A loaf. Well, 1 loaf.
What is that? $1 grand, a kilo, $1 million? How much bread are we talking about here?
I didn't weigh it, but it was, I made it with 16 ounces of beer.
Beer is meth. The metaphor is breaking down. How much money did you make and how illegal was it?
Oh, I didn't make any money off of. Well, actually, I might have made some money off of it because I posted the video of me making it on Instagram.
Okay, well, you realize that they can. That's a felony. You don't want to implicate yourself.
No, Dave Filoni was the first story.
All right, you win. You win. We got too many layers of pretending to not know.
I had a can of Christmas flavored beer that was very delicious in December, but in January I was like, I don't know if I'm into drinking this anymore. So I made bread out of it. It went so well that I took another beer that I was like, I could maybe drink that one, but now I want to know what it's like as beer. It was a dark chocolate peppermint stout from the Hardywood Brewery. And I created a loaf of chocolate bread out of it. And I posted the video up on Instagram. I don't know if I'm using my promotional time wisely by telling you about this, because I'm not sure I'm going to become a beer bread vlogger necessarily. But it was pretty fun. It was pretty great. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, it's at least a way for you to do that. So go find Ace Detect on Instagram. But it's essentially like you take flour, baking powder, and beer, and then whatever else you want to put in there. Like I put in some extra cocoa powder and some honey to sweeten it up. And then you bake it for 45 minutes and you get a loaf of bread.
Man. Okay, 2 things. First of all, I assume these are the travails that you can hear about if you go to This Week in Tom Merritt at freetomnewsletter.com. But also,
I'll definitely embed the video in there for sure. Yeah.
Also, for anybody wondering, yes, it was a slow news week.
What? No, I did this on set. Wait, what?
Oh no! Why are we dedicating so much of this program to our shenanigans?
Yes. Well, speaking of, let's move on to scanning the horizon.
Send a scanning crew aboard.
Scanning the horizon!
You said it was a slow news week, Brian, but it's time for our update on what's happening with Hollywood's hottest threesome, Netflix, Paramount Skydance, and Warner Brothers Discovery.
Oh, heck yeah. No, I'm all in on this.
Yeah, you are. Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos told the New York Times, and I quote, "but do not imitate, we will run that business largely like it is today with 45-day windows." He gave a number, Brian. We're not cutting down that window for Warner. If we get Warner Brothers Discovery, 45 days windows. And he continued, "I'm giving you a hard number." Well, yeah, you are. If we're going to be in the theatrical business, and we are, we're competitive people. We want to win. I want to win opening weekend. I want to win box office.
You know, Tom, I'm beginning to think that Hollywood is filled with a bunch of very savvy negotiators, because that's the kind of thing he could have said on day one, but instead waited until it appears that to make sure everyone's happy, they could nudge at this moment.
Oh, see, now I took it as like, oh, it just occurred to me that you'd be curious about what window we would have. Well, guess what? Let me tell you now that I realize you're interested in it. 45 days after we made the bid.
Wait,
Netflix.
Man,
No, I'm kidding. I'm
Okay,
not
all
gonna
right,
say
yeah.
that.
There are moments that it breaks down, and I can't tell how deep we've gotten.
Netflix also revised its offer for Warner Brothers Discovery from a cash and stock combination to an all-cash offer. So now, before, we'd have to be like, well, it's this much cash and this much Netflix stock, but that's equivalent to about this much. Now it's $27.75 a share, all cash. If you're a Warner Brothers Discovery shareholder, you compare $27.75 to $30 from Paramount. Now you may say, well, $30 is bigger than $27. Why do they think the shareholders will prefer $27.75? It's because of two things. One, they reduced the debt being placed on Discovery Global, which is the part of Warner Brothers Discovery with the cable networks. And that's important because Netflix isn't buying that part. So $27.75 is for the studio and streaming. You as a shareholder would still own Discovery Global, and with reduced debt, it actually might be worth $2.25 a share, which would put it on par with Paramount. And who knows, maybe it'll grow. Paramount says, no, that part of the business is worthless. So compare 30 to 27. Warner said the reduction in debt was because of the better than expected cash flow performance of the business last year, and noted that CNN was on pace to make $1.8 billion in 2026. CNN, just a part of what will stay in Discovery Global.
Is it possible, Tom, or am I attributing too much competence here? Is it possible that a tactic like that may be it may be intentional, that they had to position Paramount's response as forcing them to say that part is valueless, or get them to say it's worthless, it's not worth anything?
No, I think Paramount has been saying that from the beginning. Because they're like, we have a $30 all cash offer. We're going to buy it all. They're going to make you do math. And let me tell you, the math is whatever they're offering you plus zero, because we're buying it all. And whatever you're left with won't be worth it. Like they don't want you to think, anything other than 30 is bigger than 27 is the impression.
Yeah. Okay.
In other Netflix news, Netflix said it had more than 325 million subscribers worldwide as of the end of 2025. That's up from 301.2 million a year earlier. Netflix doesn't report their subscriber numbers every quarter, but they say they will report them when they hit milestones. And I guess they consider 325 million a milestone. They also made money, $2.41 billion, about 56 cents a share. That was more than people had projected they would make. Ad revenue came in up 2.5 times over 2024, so $1.5 billion. Netflix also reached an agreement to stream Sony Pictures Entertainment movies in the first window after they leave theaters. So they'll be getting, as part of the new deal, Dakota N.L. Fanning's The Nightingale, The Legend of Zelda, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. As soon as they're out of theaters, they'll show up on Netflix. They also announced the Netflix is a Joke 2026 festival. It's basically a comedy festival that lasts from May 4th to May 10th in Los Angeles. Now, they record a lot of it and put it on Netflix, but it's a live event that you can attend. Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David are going to reunite on stage. Kevin Hart is hosting a comedy competition. Flight of the Conchords is going to reunite on stage. There are 350 live events taking place over the week of the festival, and you can start getting tickets on January 23rd at 10 a.m.
Yeah, man, that sounds great, except for I'd have to go to LA.
Oh, yeah, that is a condition of attending in person, is you'd have to be here in Los Angeles where your friend Tom lives, Brian.
You know what? Maybe I'll do just that.
And finally, Netflix launching a new feature that will let users interact with live content through voting, a direct result of them deciding to relaunch Star Search on January 20th.
I think that's great. I
think it's great too.
I think that Star Search is ripe for a revisiting. I think that essentially, this is the format. American Idol is a tired phrase by this point, and it's come to mean, oh, that's the mean show where they make fun of everyone singing, and then eventually they manufacture another pop idol or whatever. I think Star Search has a kind of genuine authenticity to its heritage that I'm really excited to see what they could do with.
Speaking of pay one distribution deals where you get the movie as soon as it leaves theaters, HBO Max and A24 renewed their multi-year deal, making sure that previously mentioned Marty Supreme will come to HBO Max as soon as it's out of theaters. The Financial Times says the BBC is going to announce a major content deal to make programs for YouTube. In other words, to make programs that they will premiere on YouTube first. Those shows would also be available in the iPlayer and Sounds in the UK. Right now, BBC puts their content on YouTube, but it's stuff that aired elsewhere. But sounds like they're going to make some originals directly for YouTube. The Sunday telecast of the 83rd Golden Globe Awards on CBS. Now, I should put some context on this. Award shows we've been talking about, if you haven't been watching Cordkillers, have been up. People are more interested in watching them than ever before. Every time we talk about an award show, it's like, wow, the numbers on this are bigger than they have been in years. Golden Globes down 7% compared with last year's show.
Do you think it's a case of is that a lagging indicator of the quality of content around that time, or just the novelty of award shows going down?
I don't know. The Golden Globes, if you missed it, kind of went away for a couple of years. There was a lot of controversy over the makeup of its board, how it selected its winners. They left NBC, which is where they usually put them up. And the Golden Globes, which is given out by the Hollywood Foreign Press, was also always seen as sort of like the fun award show. It's where, Hollywood let their hair down and didn't take the awards so seriously. I wonder if people are like, yeah, I can see Hollywood let its hair down every day on social media. I don't need an award show for that. That's not cool. If I want to see an award show, I want to see an award show. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. I don't really know why this one dived.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a bit of it too. I wonder if we're generationally having a bit of Gods of Olympus celebrity fatigue. I don't know.
It could also be that it was on Paramount Plus.
Oh, wait. I think, well, that's your problem right there, ma'am.
Yeah. Oh, sir, there's your problem. And by the way, lest you think that streaming is declining because of the decline of the Golden Globes somehow, Nielsen says streaming hit a new peak, highest percentage of TV viewing since July. Streaming made up 47.5% of all TV viewing in December, according to The Gauge. Let's move on to the chatter.
Got mail.
Sean writes about Star Trek The Animated Series, which we're watching on the full experience. One thing I learned from reading up on the series a few weeks ago is that the first episode was the only one where the voice acting was done as an ensemble with all the cast in the same room together.
Yeah, along those lines also, we got a letter from James Thatcher, who, since I forgot to put these two together, he says, just for reference, Gene Roddenberry tried really, really hard to make as much money as he could off of everything Star Trek related. With regard to the Star Trek theme, the reason he wrote lyrics for it is because he wanted a percentage of the royalties for himself every time that song was played. Think about it. It's been played how many times over how many decades? Every time the show runs. So the actors still get some kind of royalty, he thinks. But at any rate, he says, I strongly suggest if we like these behind-the-scenes stories that we watch Star Trek Next Generation documentary called Chaos on the Bridge. It talks about the first few seasons of the Next Generation.
We are watching Star Trek The Animated Series on Paramount Plus, and Peter points out that Paramount Plus comes with his Walmart membership. He said, I seldom watch except for old Star Trek stuff. I happened to turn on Paramount today and found a new series on its premiere day, Starfleet Academy. Looks great, at least the first episode. Interesting captain, Peter. I actually watched the first 2 episodes of Starfleet Academy. I'm still holding out. I want to watch a couple more before I really give my impressions on it. I will tell you that first 15 minutes do that thing that all series do, where they're like, we know you came for this thing, but we're going to show you this other thing to build up the tension for when you finally see the thing you want to see. And I hated it. It was important backstory that they were telling me. I didn't know that at the time, though, and it was kind of drudgery. But then once they got to the thing I was there for, I thought, okay, this is really interesting. This is different and a cool way to do this. And so, yeah, withholding judgment, but so far I'm mostly positive on it.
Did I hallucinate seeing Paul Giamatti talking about like a hot dog origami something?
Yeah, he's a pirate.
Yeah. It seemed, the clip I saw seemed pretty campy, but I don't know if it was played for camp.
There are some campy moments in it, but there's also just campiness around Star Trek. I will definitely say this is not yet up to the standards of Strange New Worlds or Lower Decks as far as this new generation. I was worried that it would be way more Discovery than it is, though. And it feels like they're trying to take the good things from Discovery, especially those good things that they started to get their stride towards the end of the run of Discovery, and double down on those and really tell an interesting intergenerational story. Holly Hunt plays the captain, and she's a long-lived species, so she remembers the Federation before the burn. And this is because it's based on the Discovery series. It's set in the far future of the Star Trek timeline, so it's a little disconnected from stuff. You also have a teacher at Starfleet Academy who is half Jem'Hadar, half Klingon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Picturing, that's an image that's now in my head of what would cause a half Jem'Hadar, half Klingon.
And then finally, Adam in San Diego writes, I don't want to belabor the issue of us being in that awkward teenager phase of streaming, making everything so fractured and hard to find and watch, but I do have an example situation I came across and am genuinely wondering if you know why it might be. I'm a big fan of the show RuPaul's Drag Race, which is a very popular show and is now on season 18. In past years, the show went from airing exclusively on Logo, then to VH1, then to MTV, then exclusively to Paramount Plus, and now is exclusively back to MTV. Since the advent of streaming, you could also watch the show the next day on Paramount Plus, which MTV is a part of, even if it was only airing live on MTV. But now we are in 2026, and the new season has started, and it is only available on the cable channel MTV. People have reported that if you don't have cable, you could subscribe to Philo, which has MTV, and watch it live there. But folks aren't happy about that. We have cable, so this is not an issue for us because we have MTV, so we just watch it off the DVR whenever we're ready. But many friends of ours don't have cable and are very frustrated that they have Paramount Plus, but still can't watch the show because it's not on Paramount Plus at all, not even next day or next week. And they're even more upset at the idea that they have to pay to subscribe to Philo just to watch it, which they refuse to do. Some assume it'll drop on Paramount Plus once the full season is done airing, but fans obviously don't want to wait that long, especially because of spoilers and live viewing parties. The whole thing has really upset a lot of fans of the show. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on what might make a popular show in its 18th season decide to only air episodes on a dying cable channel. Seems quite odd and a bit backwards for the modern streaming era. No, I just can't imagine their goal is to drive people to resubscribe to cable. Well, Adam, I imagine that their goal is to drive people to resubscribe to cable.
Well,
here's the odd thing. You can follow the trends in the thinking about this industry when it was on MTV, then went exclusively to Paramount Plus, because they're like, okay, this show is, even when it's on for 18 years, it has a core audience, but it is not as popular as it used to be. So it becomes a football. We know this core audience will follow it where it goes, and maybe we'll pick up new audience if we put it somewhere else. Let's put it on Paramount Plus. That will drive a bunch of fans to go subscribe to Paramount Plus, which is good for us because we need those. And it will possibly bring some Paramount Plus viewers in and become new fans. Then the tables turned. And suddenly, they didn't need people to get Paramount Plus as much as they needed people to get MTV, apparently, because then they took the franchise and said, oh, crap, we need to prop up that cable subscriber number. Let's put this only on cable for now to drive people over to those. We don't care how they do it, whether they get cable, whether they get YouTube TV, whether they get Hulu Plus Live TV or Philo. Philo is probably being bandied around because it's the cheapest one, but let's prop up that number, and that'll help us in our negotiations for carriage.
So on top of that, all that conversation, 100% for the current meta with different streaming services and keeping the property alive. But I suspect that if I'm RuPaul's Drag Race as an entity, there's a sparkling over the horizon moment where over the next couple of years, we're entering this abstraction layer where on the other side of 2 years from now, there's a lot of, you might not even know where your favorite show is on what network because your robot assistant just causes your favorite show to show up. So if you're RuPaul's Drag Race, you could be flexible and be on a bummer of a backwater internet property because 2 years from now, your fans will just suddenly know that it's good again and the budgets are high. They won't even know that you've survived the lean times and are coming out the other side. Does that track at all, Tom? What do you think?
Well, the question is, in that scenario you're describing, how much does it cost me to get RuPaul's Drag Race? Because right now people are saying it's not the money so much. I don't want to pay for something else just to get this show, but also it's the trouble I have to go to. I was a good fan and moved to Paramount Plus and got Paramount Plus on the promise that that's where I could watch my favorite show, and you moved it again on me. I think that's the current situation.
Sure.
And in the future, if that goes away, then it becomes down to like, well, how much do I have to pay to get it? And is that worth it to me? I do understand the frustration of Adam because you don't see most other companies doing this, even with niche popular shows that are less popular than RuPaul's Drag Race. And I think it's because they don't want to upset the fans in order to drive them to the dying platform, as Adam said. Most say, yeah, that might boost our cable number for a while, but at what cost? And really our money is in driving people to the streaming. So let's just keep it on streaming. Now, interestingly, most of these other companies are spinning off their cable properties. Comcast has already spun off Versant. Warner Brothers Discovery intends to spin off Discovery Global. Paramount, on the other hand, does not intend to do that. So that may be the deciding factor of why Paramount decided to, well, maybe it's worth pissing off a few fans to prop this number up because they aren't planning to consolidate that business and spin it off.
Yeah, G. James B in the chat correctly figured out what I was thinking around. He says TiVo paid programming. I was talking about how, the way back in the day TiVo would get giant chunks of programming onto your TiVo device was by doing it at 2 a.m, and you would never even know that at 2 a.m. it would go out and grab that content for you. And I think that hopefully more of these decisions make sense when you know that everybody's playing their own long game.
Yeah, and Adam even acknowledged that. He's like, I know we're in the awkward streaming phase, but it still doesn't make it any less annoying when it happens. Well, thanks to everybody for watching. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. And we are live at twitch.tv/Night Attack and youtube.com/Modern Rogue Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Nailed it. I'm getting better and faster on the switching, but that was a bummer that the internet hicked up for a moment.
No, you mean my camera thing?
Yeah.
It wasn't the internet. That my camera froze on my end.
Oh, and then it resumed.
The solution was
was a
unplugging
hardware
it and
issue.
plugging it back in. So,
Well, I feel weirdly better
once
now.
I plugged it back in, then I had to go and reconnect it, and the browser was like, "Yeah, no, you're reconnected," and I'm like, "Well, it doesn't see me," and that's why we had to restart.
Yeah.
But I have no idea why that happened.
Your video looks fabulous. You look fabulous.
Oh, stop.
No, Tom, you look great. I mean, that's what time was Who's Heart Out? Amos, was it?
Quarter after is my heart out.
Okay. All right. Well, let's keep on rolling.
All right.
But you guys can do after talk without me, and I'll just get the files later. So
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, then let me bring back Tom, and that's right. We figured out last week that there's an intro thing to play. All right. In 3, 2.
Welcome to the Full Experience. This is the show where we watch 4 episodes of a television series to see if we can encapsulate the most important parts of the entire run of that series by watching the first, the ultimate, the lowest, and the last. We are on the ultimate episode. That means the one that got the highest rating on IMDb, Star Trek, the animated series, episode 2 of season 1, Yesteryear, which first aired September 15th, 1973. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Tom, I believe this is the first full experience where we've ever experienced this, where the first episode goes straight into the highest rated episode of the series.
I wonder, I feel like we've watched the second episode of a series before, but maybe it was the lowest rated episode, right?
Could be.
Like, yeah, I don't remember going 1 to 2 and that like, and this is the best it's gonna get. It's all downhill from here.
Okay, so I'm gonna sing lots and lots of praise on this, but I do want to share a funny story about it. I invited Ryer Appledorn, who's a curious cat who is extremely heterogeneous in the content that he watches. He watches all of a thing and then is totally ignorant of other things.
Okay.
He had never seen a single Star Trek anything.
So no original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, nothing.
Correct. And this was the first anything he said. My pitch to him was, hey, this is the highest rated thing of the animated series. And he's like, great. And so we watched it. And when it was over, I had all of these thoughts. But the one that stuck in my mind the most was he said, that is the highest rated of this whole series. And I was like, oh, interesting. And also it was the sum total of his entire Star Trek experience. so to speak.
No, I understand that reaction. You have to keep in mind these aired on Saturday mornings. These were not primetime episodes. And it's hard to keep that in mind because you've got the voices of most of the original crew. You have the writers of the original stories. This is a really interesting alternate history episode. I mean, the logic is silly, but it's not any more silly than some other time travel episodes of Star Trek have been. So I'm willing to give that a pass and say like, hey, this is a compelling and interesting story. And Spock as a traveler that's visiting himself in the past is really interesting. But there's something about the production of it that really undermines the level otherwise, where you're like, but I'm also watching, Saturday morning cartoon animation dog that like is 10 times the size of Child Spock.
Well, and I think the thing I want to convey is I can't stop grading this on a curve because I can't unknow just how far above its weight it's punching. Because first of all, Star Trek, the original series, punched way above its weight. I mean, it got cinematography wise, it got movie-esque in its production values, which of course is why you're able to see the corners on all those production values. And then the animated series did the same thing. Boy, did it yearn to be bigger than it was. And grading on that curve of a simple Saturday morning cartoon, I thought it moved astonishingly quickly, where it's just like, yeah, it's a gateway into a past. And also he made sure to not create any paradoxes. And also 30 seconds in, they're all like, who's that Vulcan? And then they establish the problem. And 3 sentences later, they've gotten to a place where Spock exactly voices what the people at home are thinking is, Captain, I think you're probably thinking we changed something and altered the timeline. I'm thinking the same thing. And then, and yes, it was probably me because the guy's name was Schmock, that my cousin who I only met once that one time.
Well, it's even worse. It's Selleck, and his dad's name is Sarek. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, what was really interesting, and here's how I knew it was a pretty good episode, is that it stuck in my brain in a frustrating way because there's an unresolved thread that I had to solve for, which was they introduced the fact that Spock has an incongruent memory. There's what happened there did not match what he experienced in his memory as a kid, which means the universe that they come back home to, if we do is not his, but just one that's close enough. And so now I think to myself, what was the experience like to everybody aboard the Starship Enterprise? So they now have a different Kirk and a different Spock, because Kirk knows Spock as he always knew him, who had that timeline, and they go off together. Oh, no, wait, that's not the same Kirk.
The logic gets silly, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but basically...
Because you've got 3 different timelines. You've got Kirk's timeline, because he didn't go back with Spock. You've got Spock's timeline, which is the only timeline that matters in the end. And then you've got the actual crew's timeline, which is different than Kirk's because Kirk remembers the original timeline and the crew only remembers the most recent timeline.
So, okay, so we lose the actual Kirk. The only remaining character who is the same is Spock.
Is Spock in the end.
Yeah. So,
but the Kirk remembers the first timeline,
right?
Even in this different Kirk version.
So this is where I wanted to get to is, let's assume that there's some slight difference in the character of Spock, because the new timeline is that Spock lost a dear pet during that time. And so let's say maybe
the dog died. I didn't remember that from the first time. That's wild. And yes, it's an important sacrifice because it changes things for Spock.
Right. So let's assume that the Spock in that timeline is a little bit more hardened, a little bit more bad things happen, right? So to the Enterprise, their experience is Spock was always Spock, but he went and did that mission, and now he seems softer or more like he
maybe,
hasn't experienced some hard stuff out there.
Yeah, just a little tiny bit. Can't put your finger on why. Sort of thing.
Yeah. But
I mean,
at any rate,
obviously making up a story and staying with his parents couldn't possibly have changed the timeline. Like they're so like, we have to go back and restore the timeline. But also me going back totally changes the timeline. Like,
yeah, I mean, because think about it. Like, but of course, this came out before the butterfly effect was in popular culture. So they're probably thinking more like timelines as a groove where
also Spock learned the neck pinch from himself.
Yeah.
So who taught Spock the neck pinch?
And also, did he follow his own advice from himself? Yeah. Amos, what did you think of all this?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Amos. Yes, please go ahead.
I will tell you, this will probably be my favorite episode of this series, maybe of any Star Wars property I've watched,
or Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Yeah, there you go, Star Trek. This episode encapsulated everything I don't like about Star Trek.
Yep.
Which
It did
is
it perfectly. The logic didn't make sense when you track it down. There's so many logical loopholes. The introduction didn't give me a strong basis. The show regularly ignores established science in the course of building a story that I typically don't care for. And the characters just seem overly shallow for the depth that I want them to have.
I think the
So,
shallowness of the
this
characters
is
here
perfect.
could be attributed to the fact that this is airing up against Goober and the Ghost Chasers. But otherwise, I think everything is the same.
So, I did notice that last week you mentioned, Tom, that everybody's eyes were skin color.
Yeah.
This time, they weren't. His Spock's mom's eyes were white with blue.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's
I didn't
probably
e- I
because
didn't notice that
whenever,
myself.
yeah, one of her notable characteristics in the show was being a gorgeous human female, gorgeous enough that Sarek would interspecies.
Well, and
Right.
speaking of, I don't know that they ever, like in later Star Treks, they talk about, well, Vulcans do have emotions, they just suppress them. But in the original Star Trek, you'll notice that they just flat out say Vulcans don't have emotions. This, I think, was laying the lore that Vulcans do have emotions, they just suppress them for the first time.
Yeah, and that it was probably fairly revolutionary. Well, we definitely in the original series saw some kind of emotional outburst. It didn't like there was evil Spock and he got a disease where he was hyper emotional or something.
It was the Pong Thar when he
Yeah.
went through the mating ritual. Yeah, his emotions burst back out.
Yeah. But I don't know. I had a good enough time with it. I enjoyed the logical trap being laid. I am thankful that I got to see just that unresolved thread. It's not good writing, and I don't think it was done intentionally to create good writing things, but I'm glad that I experienced it.
Yeah, I think it's a decent story, and I'm not even disagreeing with you, Amos, that it's a great story. But grading on a curve, it's probably one of the better stories that was aired at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday morning.
I'm with you, Tom. I can't uncontextualize it. I can't see it anywhere. It's like imagine
Star Trek the Animated Series was the lead-in for Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was good. Good enough.
I think it could have been really good if it was an hour long and had a little bit more development in it. But you're right in that it was very quick, Brian. Like immediately, boom, into the story, and then the closure was boom out of the story. So, 24-minute episode, and 22 minutes of that was the actual meat of the story.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty efficient.
I'll give it
And
that.
also think about think about how much credit it gives the audience, even knowing that these are 8-year-olds watching. And it's like, you get it. There's a guardian, time travel, just continuity matters.
Yeah.
Like what? Compare that to what 5-10 years earlier when Speed Racer is like, it's a car that goes fast. It's a fast car. Tom, did you have any other thoughts?
No, Spock's dog is huge.
And dead.
Yeah, I think we covered everything that I had to say about it. Our next episode will be the lowest rated Star Trek the Animated Series from October 27th, 1973. So episode 8. We're not going too much farther down the road. Season 1, episode 8, The Magics of Megas 2. Magic spelled with a K.
How much worse can it get? I actually rather like this one.
This is not going to make Amos. This is not going to make you feel any better about the science of Star Trek.
Sorry about that. Now we're into magic.
The Magics of Megas 2. We will be watching that. That will be the lowest rated episode on IMDb of Star Trek the Animated Series. Then we skipped all the way to season 2, episode 6 for the finale. So we're going to jump right over most of the series.
Tom,
see how that.
Whenever we have shorter episodes like this, there's kind of less for us to talk about from the content, and so it makes me want more to solicit feedback from people who are watching along with us. So write us at cordkillers@gmail.com and give us your take. In fact, find a loved one and show them the highest rated episode of Star Trek the Animated Series and see what they think.
Who's the Ryer in your circle?
Exactly.
Find them and show them yesteryear from Star Trek the Animated Series. And let us know either by email, cordkillers@gmail.com, like Brian just said, or patreon.com/cordkillers. You can send us a message that way as well. If you are a patron, you can reach out directly through that, and you get the full experience earlier. You get to listen to After Talk, where we talk about which shows we might want to make into a full experience and spoil other kinds of things that we're watching, as well as talk about the show and how it works. All of that's available at patreon.com/cordkillers. Go sign up now if you haven't already. Big thanks to everybody who has, and we will talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Yeah, we did it. We did it. Yeah. All right, beautiful people. We're going to drop off the stream so that we can make hay while the Amos shines. Bye.